Danny Johnson Show. Hey, have you ever been in that place in life where you want somebody else to just kind of tell you what to do and how to direct you? Well, there was something that one of our staff members shared. It was a tweet of a friend or a friend of a friend or something like that, that wrote this. And this is a young lady by the name of Brooke. She says, wishing someone could tell me what I'm supposed to do with my life so that I can stop stressing about making the wrong decision. Now, then here comes all of this other information that's very interesting. According to The Guardian, millennial adults lack a roadmap to adulthood. Millennials worry about getting a stable job. They worry about being able to pay off student loans and afford monthly expenses. They worry about what career path to choose. They feel overwhelmed by the idea of getting married and trying to find balance in family. All right, so right when I read that, I realized I can't say what I want to say. I realized that this is a bunch of baloney. That's what I realized, because it's not just the millennials. I have been working with thousands of people for 3 decades, thousands and tens of thousands of people for 3 solid decades. And I know people who are 70 who are saying, please just tell me what to do so I don't make a mistake. This isn't a millennial problem. It's a human problem. It's not a millennial problem that they lack the roadmap to become for adulthood. Are you kidding me? My generation lacked the roadmap for becoming an adult and succeeding. 98% of the population dead or dead broke at the age of 65, depending on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income, is not a new problem or a new prediction for the millennials. It is something that we have been doing for generations and generations. My generation, the generation before me, the generation before them. We have been jacked up and on the wrong track for a really long time. And I'm telling you, I believe one reason is this. Here this young lady is looking for help. She's looking for someone like, please tell me how to live my life so I don't screw it up. We've all had that. We've all felt that fear. No matter how old we are, we have felt that fear. Here's the other side. In our current school system, and it's been this way for years, probably more than 100. I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's somewhere at least around 100 years. We have the most jacked up educational system. Oh, I know, I just made you mad. Get over it. Clean out your ears, put away your offense, and listen for 10 seconds. Our school system teaches people to memorize and regurgitate. Does not teach kids how to think. It doesn't teach critical thinking skills, which is what everybody needs. It doesn't teach the skills like, for example, Israel is putting into their children. Largely Europe puts into their children, as well as Asia puts into their children, where it's not regurgitate what you've heard, which you quickly forget, but how to think, how to process, how to come to a conclusion. Also, how to learn other people's conclusions, how to learn other people's perspectives. But instead, our entire society has been built on this ridiculousness. And by the way, it doesn't stop after high school. This is also what they're doing in college. It's not learning how to think or how other people think and how to come together with all of our different perspectives and how to be able to build a bridge to where we want to go. But no, instead, we raise in our school system and in our colleges and in our homes a society of a bunch of pig-headed, egotistical, opinionated, pompous pigs. I said it. That's what we raise. It is. Look at our news. News is not even telling us, not even leading us in critical thinking skills. No, they're telling us their opinion. They're telling us how we should think. That if we're a Democrat, then we should think like this. If we're a Republican, then we should think like this. It's all a bunch of nonsense. Teach people how to think. This is something that Hans and I worked hard on as parents, raising our kids, teaching them how to think, to have their own opinions, and also to glean from other people's differences and to glean from other people's opinions. We lived a very frugal life, but one thing that we did of luxury while living a debt-free life, right, was this. We wanted our kids to gain a culture understanding, different culture understandings, by traveling them around the world. So they could taste, feel, see with their own eyes, different shapes, colors, sizes of people's bodies, noses, the color of their skin, the perspective that they had. It kind of ruined them for the country they live in a little bit, to be honest with you. It really did. Because they can see nonsense and go, psh, nonsense. No, they're not easy to buy in. But we worked hard to make sure they could think. And I'll tell you something else. I've ran a company for 30 years. I've been in business for 30 years. I have employed people for 30 years. I've employed the efforts, the talent, the time, the beauty, and working with other people for 30 straight years. And here's what I can tell you, that how even I've led in that, and mind you, I've done that part-time for 30 years and have made millions and millions of dollars. And I've helped many other people make millions and millions of dollars. Guess what I've learned? You cannot become successful on your own. And you can't be successful on your own way of thinking. Your own way of thinking is nothing but a combination of everybody else telling you how to think. But the environment that we've created here at DannyJohnson.com has been what? Drawing from how other people think. What do you think about this? Very common question that comes out of my mouth. When somebody comes to me and says, hey, Danny, what do you think I should do with that? And I say, well, what do you think you should do? And they tell me. And I say, well, maybe you should run with that. Why? We learn through mistakes. We learn through consequences. We learn through what worked, but largely what doesn't work. And we live in this society that does this. Learn this. Once you learn this, then you're an expert. Then you can talk about it. Then you're super smart and you'll impress everybody with your degree. I don't have one. I don't. But I got a degree in results, friend. What is your degree in? Knowing a bunch of useless information that doesn't help anybody? That doesn't help you? You got people with finance degrees who are flat broke, declaring bankruptcy several times. You got people with accounting degrees, they have 5 different gym memberships and they haven't walked into a gym in 10 years and they've got 100 pounds on their backside to prove it. Listen, all of this knowledge that puffs us up, that we can regurgitate information that doesn't matter, doesn't help you to succeed. But teaching your kids, teaching your employees, your coworkers how to think. Wait, not even teaching them how to think. Nope. Giving them the opportunity to think. Try that one on size. Try that on for size. Giving them the opportunity to think. Listen, especially my young people, which I hate to say this, don't tell anybody, but they're my most favorite people to work with. Oh my gosh, I didn't say that. I did. They are my most favorite people to work with. Oh my gosh, they really are. Why? You create the space for them to share their thoughts, their opinions, how they view something, their perspective. You create the space for them to ping off crazy, wild ideas. Oh, there's so much wisdom that is locked inside of them. There's a path that's just bam, there it is. There's joy there. There's laughter there. There's adventure there. And we live in a society, and it is not something new. So don't buy into this nonsense that, according to The Guardian, nonsense. No, I know people in their 50s that lack the skills to be a responsible adult who understands responsible finances, who understand responsible business practices, who understand responsible marriage practices. And I'm talking about all the practice of marriage. This makes me mad. Pew Research reports millennials are the first in modern era to have higher levels of student loan debt, poverty and unemployment, and lower levels of wealth and personal income than any other generation at the same stage of life. Okay. Well, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Well, if they're in adulthood right now and that's what they're facing, well, unfortunately, it is their responsibility to change that ridiculous research. It's their responsibility. But whose fault is it? Yeah, parents, who just what? Oh, just keeping up with the Joneses. Got to make sure my kid goes to college. Just keeping up with the Joneses. Got to make sure my kids are in piano lessons. Why? Because they were born to be a pianist? I got to keep up with the Joneses and make sure my daughter goes to ballet. Why? Is she a ballerina today? Or did you waste all that money and time and add all that stress and pressure on her? Oh, I got to keep up with the Joneses and make sure my son has his violin lessons. Why? Is he a professional violinist? Do you know what they make? Is that what his heart's desire is? Or was it yours to say that your son is in violins? Or were you using the violin lessons as a way to babysit your child? Listen. We live in a place, and we are horrible at letting people think. We like to tell them how they should think instead of teaching them the path of critical thinking. Because it's critical thinking that is going to help them solve employee problems one day. It's critical thinking that is going to help them not go into debt over stupid stuff. It's the critical thinking skills and having the freedom to think and the freedom to speak about it. Instead of saying, okay, no, you shouldn't think like that. That doesn't work. We're Republicans, and Republicans don't think and talk like that. Or this one. Hey, you're a Christian, and Christians don't think like that, so you better watch it. You know, that's not according to our Christian beliefs. Do you even know what your Christian beliefs are? Do you even know what the Bible says? Can I tell you something? Read it. It's filled with critical thinking. It's filled with people with different ideas, different mindsets. If you were to actually read that thing, not through the scope of what you've heard on a Sunday morning, but you were to actually clean out your ears and your eyes and your heart and just to read it as it is, you'd be blown away the things that are talked about in that book. You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked how kids were raised. You'd be shocked how money is financed. How finances are ran. You'd be shocked on leadership right there in that book. You'd be shocked on the character of the living God if you actually had the courage to read that. Instead of spoon-feeding your kids the same nonsense that has helped you to be broke, instead of feeding the next generation the things that have hurt your marriage, instead of spoon-feeding your kids with the same things that have hurt your finances. Have you ever sat and wondered why? Why are we broke? Have you ever asked the question? Have you ever asked this question? Like Stuart Lynn, did everything right. Raised by Baptist ministers, good boy, did everything good, went to college, got himself a degree in engineering, married a girl who had 5 kids, and then they had 3 more, got 8 kids. Good guy, good Christian, good tither, could not feed his kids without his parents supplementing his income. Not because he was a gambler, not because he had a porn addiction, not because he was lazy. He was hard-working engineer with a good education and a good job, making $52,000 a year, but he found out very quickly he could not provide food for his own family. Did everything right. Have you ever asked yourself, man, I've done everything right. I was a good kid. I got good grades. I went to college. I got my degree. Why am I broke? Those are some critical thinking skills. Why am I broke? Why has my life turned out like this? What do I have to do to change it? Make a list of things that need to change. Let me tell you. So here's what it is. Because of our jacked up educational system, here's what it is. It is X or it doesn't exist. That's what it is. It's X or it doesn't exist. Lie. Watch. So what do? It doesn't exist. There's an excuse. We come up with an excuse as to why we can't succeed. We come up with an excuse and we use our religion, we use our politics, we use our family as a reason why we can't succeed. We use our race as a reason. We use our gender as a reason. Whatever it is that those are behind us used as their excuse, we have now taken on that excuse, and now we're spoon-feeding that same excuse to the next generation. So if you're a millennial, you listen to me. You got a clean slate, friend. You got a chance right now to completely nullify this kind of nonsense. All right, you're right, okay? Well, if you went to college and you still don't know what you want to be when you grow up, guess what? Chances are your parents were very, very similar. And if not, I'm sure there's some aunts and uncles that were too. How will you overcome and not end up with the same financial position that they're in? Here's how I know this. I was raised in a house where I was raised by a dictator, absolute dictator. And that dictator told me how to breathe, what to eat, when to eat it, how to do everything. I mean, I did not have any freedom to think, to be myself, to give a rebuttal, to answer a question, to have a dream, nothing. Total dictator. Who told me I was fat, ugly, stupid, I would never amount to anything. No one would ever love me. Okay? Yeah. Best thing he taught me how to do was scrub a toilet. Man, I know how to do a good job at that. Listen to me. So I grew up in that environment. I grew up in poverty. I grew up with drugs, and then I made a lot of big, stupid mistakes. But there was one thing I wanted more than anything. It was not to end up like my family. I did not want to end up in an abusive marriage. I did not want to end up with a man that was going to beat me and my children. I did not want to end up on drugs, addicted. I did not want to neglect my children because of drugs. I didn't want anything to do with the laziness that I saw every single day. I wanted a different life. And so if you have been fed this life of what? Okay, great. You got some counts against you. A lot of student loan debt. All right, listen. Then work your tail off to pay it off. Do not be like everybody else who's going to take the long road to paying it off. They're going to take 20 years. No. You're going to find out what everybody else is doing that is broke, and you're going to do the opposite of what they're doing. I don't care where you're starting from. You don't have to end up there. And I am living proof. I'm living proof. So here on my path as a child, where did I end up? Homeless at 21. Homeless with $35,000 in debt. Doing drugs. Sleeping around, trying to commit suicide, totally duplicating what I was trained to do, doing what my family had done. And then bam, bam. I had to pick up my mat of excuses. I had to pick up my mat of all of my insecurities. I had to pick up my mat of my past and the hurt and the pain and the suffering and the bitterness. I had to pick up my mat and get up and walk in the direction where I wanted to go instead of continuing to repeat what I was trained to do. So it was a clean slate. This was 28 years ago here in a couple months. And I went in the opposite direction. And on a part-time basis, started a business, made $250,000 my first year. Obviously paid off that $35,000 in debt. Next year made my first $1 million. This happened by the time I was 23. Listen, if I could do that, I was dyslexic. I had learning disabilities. I had major emotional damage, mental damage to myself. If this damaged bill of goods could become a successful multimillionaire living completely debt-free in an amazing, harmonious, beautifully passionate marriage with 5 incredible kids, brilliant, smarter than we are, 8 grandkids, if I could end up living the life where I've traveled all over the world, and I mean all over the world, where I have vacation for months at a time, working part-time, running a company, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, listen, and using my time to volunteer. I don't get paid for what I do professionally. I donate the salary straight to taking care of orphans. In fact, 60,000 of them to be exact. In fact, helping 1 million people get clean, safe water because the water was killing them before. In fact, freeing 4,000 slaves from the sex trade. In fact, building 1,200 homes for the extreme poor. So if I could do that and have this adventurous life, and I started from crap, you might be starting from crap right now, and it's okay. You can beat this. That is, of course, you're willing to learn, you're willing to work, and you're willing to give some new training, some new skill a try. But if you're not willing, and if you're still waiting around for somebody else to come in and take your debt away for you, quit being like everybody else that's your age. No, you fix it. I don't care what was handed to you, you fix it. You're going to wait your entire life and end up like every other miserable soul, waiting, dissatisfied, waiting, hoping, maybe, someday. Nonsense. That life is not for you, friend. You've got an adventurous life of freedom that is ahead of you. Pick up your mat of excuses. Pick up your mat of financial disasters and student loans. Pick up your mat of whatever these statistics are saying about you. I promise you it was the same before and the one before and the one before. We've all been dumb financially, but you don't have to be. You don't have to carry the torch of dumb. You can carry the torch of success. As my husband and I have carried the torch of success. Some will decide to join you on that. Some won't. Some will hate you for it. But at least you'll have an adventurous life, totally financially free. I want to help you get started. This is for you. First steps to wealth. It's exactly how I went from homeless at 21 to a millionaire by 23. Step by step. No hype, no nonsense, no filler words. Step by step by step by step by step. You want an owner's manual on how to clean up this debt and clean up this stuff? Get on the quick pathway to wealth right now. Get off the path that has been sold to you. Get on this path. You can have it for free if you put some skin in the game. You put some skin in the game. Quit being taken advantage of by everybody who wants to offer you something free, and all they do is end up taking you for a ride. You put skin in the game. You pay the shipping to get it to your house. I'm not going to pay the shipping to get it to your house. Give me a break. I invested into writing the darn thing, and that was a hard thing to do. I didn't have to do that. I could be sitting on a beach in Bora Bora just like, enjoying myself and my husband and my children and my grandchildren. We wrote a book, and we're giving it away for free. You pay the shipping to get it to your house. I already paid the shipping to get it to the warehouse. So now from the warehouse to your house, you pay the shipping and the handling to get it there. You help to pay for the hands that are going to package that thing up and send it to you. You pay that, I'll pay for the rest. Get your copy right now. Go to firststepstowealth.com. Again, that's firststepstowealth.com. Firststepstowealth.com. Get off of the path that you've been on. It's time to get on a new one. I promise you're going to beat your parents to financial independence. You're going to beat your aunts and uncles to financial independence. You're going to beat everyone around you to financial independence if you decide to follow the steps that we're going to set here before you. We believe in you, by the way. We absolutely believe in you. And we know you can do it. And we know you actually have a heart and you care about bigger things than just a big car and a big house. We know you care about the things that are going on in the world and you want to make a difference. You want to learn how to make that difference? Firststepstowealth.com, because it's not just about money. It's also about the skills that they didn't teach you in college and they didn't teach you in school. Unfortunately, we did not learn in the home. But all of those secret little skills that are necessary to build something that is powerful, whether it's a charity, a business, a movement. Firststepstowealth.com. Go there now. Get your copy. Read it. Follow it. Write me telling me what you've done with it. So that's it for me. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DannyJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been The Danny Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.